Oh, we are live. Here we go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Idea Studio Wednesday morning. It's been a whole week since we've been live. I am Dana.
I'm Chip.
Oh, so much going on. Today is our first day of relaxed restrictions, Jib,
Yes.
which is big news.
Shopping mall open.
But are the craft shops open?
Well, normally I order online anyway.
That's true. But sometimes we go and browse. And I know you need some black thread right now that we need to figure out how to get.
It's not thread. It's I don't know what you call, but
It's not thread?
no, it's type of metal.
Oh, like a cording.
It's
metal
like
cording.
it's gold work, but it's just the color is not gold. It's black.
I know it's like a metal cording, right?
Chai.
Like, yeah. So need to get that though because you need that to finish your piece. Jim is like almost done, like on the very edge of completion for her main embroidery project. So real quick, I see we got Joe in the chat from 4 hours ago. What's going on, Joe?
Why he comes so early?
Joe's always early. Hey, Steve, what's going on? Deborah peeking in. How's it going, Deborah? Oh, yeah, so... Yeah, off to a good start from Wednesday. Up early for me today, too. George, time for me to get a haircut, yeah.
Yeah, barber, but you may have to reserve, like,
yeah, I might have to
booking.
schedule.
Yeah.
So, George, I gave myself this haircut, and I thought I had done a good job until I came downstairs, and Jib was like, oh, you missed a huge spot on the back of your head.
What hair?
No, this hair in the back.
No, I mean you cut what hair?
Well, not these up top. These fall out on their own. I just give these a little wipe, and they come off, but everything else I have to cut. Yeah, no, barbershops, hair salons are open again, but only for haircuts, right? So there's no...
They say like a 1 hour per person.
No hair dye, no perms. Is that right?
Just cut.
Yeah, so I can't go get a perm, but I can get a haircut if I need Jim's face. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people waiting to go back for hair color as well.
Yeah, for lady.
And for all those
Think about you bleach it to blonde hair, and then like it's like I don't know 2-3 months that you can't get it. It's like
True,
black hair, and
you're
then
gonna have
it's
some long roots.
blonde.
I think it looks better when the roots are a little bit longer than when they're like just like micro roots. You just see like a layer of black underneath the blonde. I always thought that was like the goofiest look. Like like you see guys who have like complete gray hair and they dye their hair and then they get like just a layer of gray. It's almost mesmerizing. Look at like, what am I seeing? What hair? Yeah, right. I mean, the only thing that sucks about being bald in Thailand is that I have to wear a hat or a bandana or something when I go outside, or else I come back and Jib will then press her finger on my head where it's burned, and it shows up white, so I end up with all these white fingerprints going across my head for a little bit. But yeah, the sun hair is a bit too strong. Even when it's overcast, like I've been out and I thought like, oh, it's cloudy, so I'm not really going to worry about putting a bandana or a hat on, and I come back and I have a burnt head. So you definitely have to watch out for that.
Cloudy doesn't mean no UV.
Yeah, even like a UV index of 4, I can get a burn. Hey, Soy Mafia, what's going on? Hello, morning. Are you a kettlebell person? I am a kettlebell person. Jib, not so much. I bought a little one for Jib. She doesn't like it. She doesn't like to swing the weight. She prefers to just lift big iron. Where I prefer to swing. I have a 24 and a 14 that I use. 24 I like for like squats or deadlifts. The 14's more for like for swings. Hey Dave, what's going on, man? How's things? How's things up in Surin? You guys excited for the lifting of restrictions today? Yo Mojo, what's up? Jojo. Have you seen the house? Did you put out a new video? I didn't watch anything today. But I think the last video I saw was the one after we talked about last time when you put up the it was painted and you had the roof, but like not everything was finished. Definitely interested to see it when it's complete. Yes, new one. Okay, I'll check it out for sure. Yeah, you already getting messages?
No.
Oh, so we have a special video, sort of like a one-off posting tonight about the Patty Doyle note fight. And we have a few collaborators coming in on it. We have, you'll see Retired Working For You makes an appearance in the video. And the thumbnail is courtesy of Poe on the Go from John Poe. So it kind of gives it's a different look. It stands out from everything else we've done on the channel. And there was a lot of dialogue. I actually scripted this one. So Jib struggled with some of the, not with the words, but with reading it on camera. Like, she doesn't like to read dialogue.
Because it's not me.
Does Auntie do any exercise or just genetics keep her thin? A little of both.
I don't really do exercise.
A little bit. Sometimes you ride the bike, or we also
Last one, I think.
You rode it like a few weeks ago.
Oh.
But also, I would say that Jib is very, very in tune with her diet. So whereas I am not as much. Jib is very, very conscious of her calorie intake across 3 meals. Where I am not. I struggle with that quite a bit.
I'm concerned about the quality and the quantity of my food.
And Jib also, keep in mind, so everything we do is, we're pretty active in just our general lifestyle. So like if we have to go out, we're always walking, or I take the bike, or we do something along those lines, whereas as opposed to like in the U.S. where I would drive everywhere, right? Like if I had to go to 7-Eleven, I was jumping in my car and taking a ride. Whereas here, if we go to 7-Eleven, I just walk. And it's a 10-minute round trip, including shopping. Like, I mean, it's not a long time. If we have to drop off packages at post, we have baskets on the bike. I throw everything in the basket and I take off, right? So we try to be much more active. Like everywhere we go, we're at least walking a little bit. We're moving around. And then Jib throughout the day has to go up and down to her storage room depending on how many orders come in. Because it might be, there's been a few times where it's like order comes in, you pack it, another order comes in, you have to go upstairs, get the stuff. So yeah, we're constantly moving. I try to lift a couple times a week. I should really be lifting like 4 or 5 times a week. But I'm generally riding the bike, at least an hour if I have to go out. So if I go out for post, I then take this huge loop. If it's not raining, the exception is the days where like it's imminently raining or raining as it already does, and so I have to I'll come back and take the short route. But I do like to go out and I blast around. So Dave says, "Are you gonna fight the winner?" I offered to fight both of those guys at the same time, Dave. I said, no matter who wins that fight, I would fight them both at the same time, and they both declined they've both outright declined the invitation to engage me in fisticuffs 2 versus 1. We just got mandatory indoor masking again, but to be honest, no one will enforce it but medical facilities. Really? So people aren't concerned about spreading the virus because, wearing the mask is actually prevents you from spreading. I mean, that's the big thing. It's a shame that no one will enforce.
So here in Thailand, doctors said wear 2 masks. As now we have enough supply for surgical masks. It's cheap. They control the price not over 2.5 baht per piece. So they said, okay, wear this one, the first layer, and then you wear fabric masks to cover it, so it's kind of fit to your face better than just surgical masks. This is now okay, I wear 2 layers when I go out, and people there not.
It makes me think
What?
a few years ago with a story about the kids at Isan wearing 2 condoms.
No, this is different. This is different.
I know. But for some reason I thought of that. PMOC.
dirty.
Hey, PMOC. Just like the movie PMOC. Morning, guys. How about sandbag weights on ankles? I don't like to wear weights on my joints. So like ankle or wrist weights, I don't like. When I start my workouts every day, when I work out, I start with about 5 or 6 minutes of shadow boxing, and usually I'll hold like some smaller weights while I do that and work on my footwork. But I find it uncomfortable to wear like weights on my joints, like my ankle or my wrist. Intermittent fasting might work for you. Have been doing 10-4 for a month. It really leans you out. So I haven't eaten breakfast. I haven't done 10-4, but
What
oh,
is
nice.
this?
Oh, these are Altoids I asked him to get.
อะไรอะ
Well, it's cinnamon one. Cinnamon's good. Charleston chew that will. You'll be chewing that for like a year. But so I've been doing where I would fast for 16 hours and then eat 8 osito. But now recently I just started basically only eating dinner right now. So fasting all day long until like 6 or 7 p.m. and then I eat my one meal. It's just the hard thing with that is it's making sure you get the right nutrients and everything in. And I work out now in the afternoons anyway, so that fits better for me because then I'll work out and then eat. But yeah, I've really liked IF, like not eating breakfast and then like going straight into lunch was always really comfortable for me. I enjoyed that. It's a bit more challenging doing the just dinner, but I definitely feel more energetic. I feel better overall doing just IF. I don't have to take, if I don't end up with the issue where I'll eat like a heavy lunch and then have to sleep for like an hour and a half to 6 hours after I eat it. Notorious for taking naps that extend into to half sleep. 19. By the way, have you been in a 1945 Willys Jeep, the original Jeep? I don't think so. No. I don't think definitely not a 1945 Jeep. I grew up in the Northeast.
That's the year that you go to high school. Why don't you drive?
No, that's the year you graduated grad school. No, so PMOC, I grew up in the Northeast, right, which they salt the roads, and so unfortunately old vehicles don't tend to last too long. If you live out in like San Diego or like Arizona, you definitely see more older cars because there's a lack of road salt and stuff. But yeah, no, never been in the original Jeep. I've been in a postal Jeep in America, one of those little Jeeps that has the sliding door, and the steering wheel is on the side that it would be in Thailand, not the right side for America, because the postman would drive it up to your house and put the letters in the mailbox. Yeah. So I was thinking the same thing. You could beat both those guys at the same time. Yeah, I think I could. Jim even thinks I could beat those guys at the same time. So it would be fun, but yeah, maybe not. Not for them. No one has the manpower or security room. Oh, that's too bad. That's really too bad. Cops won't enforce it. Shoes on the floor. Oh, those are mine. If you see shoes on the floor, Patrick, you know they're mine. Very rarely are Jib shoes on the floor
And you
unless
see that like on the shelf, it's like have a place to put it, but it never just arrived.
So let's see, what do we have there? I see a pair of Jibs there. Those are Jib's purple shoes.
It's wet yesterday that I go out to do something in the rain for someone.
But I see my white ones, my blue ones. Oh, whose white ones are those?
Chạm nha.
Oh, Jambos, and then the black ones are my. Oh no, the black ones are just my black ones. Yeah, so I've got a few pairs on the floor there, Patrick. I'm guilty. Hey, Greg, what's up, brother? No numbers for today. Yesterday, 14666 is emerging. Yeah, what was the number today?
I sent to you.
Oh, did you send to me?
Yeah.
I didn't see it pop up.
Maybe you just mute my chat
No.
line ค่ะ
Yeah, I'm online.
Weird.
Are you sure you sent it?
Maybe not.
Ah, so Jib didn't send it to me. Hey. All right. Let's see what we have.
14.
Did you send? Oh, no, 18 today.
No, this is they switched the side.
Oh, 14,802 today. 252 dead, though?
Yes.
Damn. So really high number of dead, but only 14,802 new cases. Thanks for reminding me, P. Moxie. We take a week off from the show, and I get all like absent-minded. Actually, Jib could beat Patty for sure.
No.
See,
he's taller.
I think Note is actually the easier one to beat of the two. He's smaller, and I just like Patty's British, right? And British people just like to scrap. I think it's in their DNA. Like I'm pretty sure random street fights are their national pastime, right? For some reason, I mean, not taking anything away from Note. These guys are both incredibly amateur, right? But I just think that I don't know if Note would have the constitution to get hit, because that's something when you're a fighter, like you don't mind. It's just part of it, and I don't think these guys have that, either of them really. And so I think for one of them to get hit, like to really be hit, not like just lightly love tapped with like an 18-ounce glove, but really hit, I don't think either of them are ready for that. Hey, Stuck, what's going on, man? Yeah, Jib got the pic. She was showing me, Joe, the Charleston Chew and the Altoids. Josh, love you long time. My beard, what's up? You take them out with one arm tied behind your back, the ultimate schoolyard threat. Yeah, so we used to like oh, I could beat you with one arm tied behind my back is like old American like threat. Yeah, so the other thing that opened to, we got Unseen Thailand here. What's going on? Yeah, the numbers are dropping. I'm worried though with everything opening today. Maybe we see a spike in a couple of weeks. I don't know. The numbers are still pretty high for Thailand overall.
Yeah.
And I don't know what 50% capacity at restaurants is really going to look like. I don't know what the malls being open is going to do to all this.
So I believe today mall will be packed.
Yeah.
Also the restaurant, because I saw some of my friends last night. They post like, oh, what should I eat tomorrow? And like the list of the restaurant, that type.
Yeah.
So I want to go out too, but I feel like no need for now. I want to be like safe.
Yeah, I'm like, of course I want to go out. I want to sit at Paula.
MK.
I want to grab I want MK for sure. We're so close to platinum, right? I'm like platinum status at MK.
Ah, I don't know.
Oh, Joe, thank you for the coffee, my friend.
Thank you. So I don't know what maybe it's past the month that we can.
Yeah, maybe they extended it again because of the other lockdown.
Not sure.
But if not, we have to start all over, which I'm fine with. I love MK. But yeah, like I'm not going to go to MK though, because
any restaurant.
Yeah, but
sit and eat.
I mean, especially MK did a good job of the separation last time, but still, like your food, because so many people touch it before it gets to you, like the way it's prepped and you cook it. Yeah, so that's
cooked.
Yeah.
It's cooked in the pot. I think
True.
that's one is a safe one. Like it's come as a raw food and then you boil it in the pot. I think that's one is the safest.
That's true.
If you think about it, like instead of they already cook it, put it in the dish and bring it to you. I think MK is safe, but like I feel like I don't want to take off my mask outside the house.
I really want to like sit down at Paula and eat some slices, but I'm not quite at the comfort level yet. They're also, that's a small place, right?
It's kind of like when anyone cough or sneeze, you kind of like jump away from that spot. Maybe I have to see the doctor after all this situation to check my
anxiety. Illinois is averaging 23,000 a week.
Huh?
That's not bad, actually. We were doing that a day
week.
at one point.
No, how like have to think about the population there too.
Yes,
If it's
still
the
a big
same size
state.
of Thailand,
Couple million people.
couple million.
Yeah, it's not as big as Thailand. Size-wise, it might be close.
No, I mean like the number of
Yeah,
population.
I don't see Patty as a brawler. P-Mock, that's true. I definitely don't see Patty as necessarily a brawler. I mean, he
What's
is
that brawler
like
mean?
a fighter, like someone who just goes out and fights. But I also like, and he's a teacher, right? Because I've talked to him about like, we've had conversations about his love for teaching and like his empathy with the kids. He's definitely not the type of guy to go out and get in a fight.
We know the teacher
Yeah.
who win the fight.
Yeah, we don't. The former UFC fighter Tommy Hayden is actually a teacher in Thailand, and he's like teaches young kids, and he loves it. So I mean, it's not like they're necessarily.
You should match them.
It's not like that's necessarily two
Tommy
separate
and Patty.
skills. No, Patty would die. Tommy's an absolute monster. I've seen Tommy fight like brutal wins, but I've also seen Tommy just like take a brutal beating and not quit. Like that's like I said, that's like one of the things like a fighter has in them is like they don't quit. Right? They just keep fighting because they know they might be able to win if they stick it out. And again, it's funny though. I mentioned that Tommy is a teacher. I think he teaches science. Like
AJ was a teacher.
Yeah, AJ was a teacher. Our friend AJ Pyro, fighter from Borneo, and AJ's like gonna be close to 50 now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's jacked still. Just to watch Dana ref the fight, I would still bet on him winning. Maybe. And there was one time I was reffing, it was like two featherweights. And one of them ended up being a knockout. And I just pushed the other one aside. I remember watching the replay after the fight where I just used one hand and like moved him aside. And it just looked like I was kind of manhandling a movie. He was so small. He was like 125 pounds or something. You nailed it. My friend from London says his earliest memories is his dad putting gloves on him and teaching him street fighting techniques. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of skills you got to know. But yeah, I think we'll drop that video probably tonight, maybe tomorrow. I got to look at if it's processed 4K yet. But it's us parodying ESPN's First Take. So it'll kind of be funny. It's like I said, it's a complete departure from what we usually do, and I'm working on the script right now for the canal video, for a little like sort of video essay about Thailand's canals. So that will be coming in a few weeks. I filmed that while we're out. We got some good footage. Jib was shooting the GoPro. I was shooting the Sony.
Just random shoot.
But yeah, get some good. There was a house on the canal with a water slide. So it wasn't like one of the little canal houses floating there. There was like a big ass house built up like behind a retaining wall. And from the second floor of their house to the pool in the back, they had a water slide. Like a big, impressive water slide. And when I saw it, I was like, what is that? Yeah, I think it is a wait and see thing, Bill. It's just, there's just too much unknown right now. And I think human behavior is people want to now take advantage of everything that's reopened. And I think what's going to end up happening is people are going to go out, they're going to demask in the restaurants. I think we'll see it in the parks, like a lot of people exercising without the mask on, being close to others, and it's just going to cause more issues.
I will just wait until I get too short.
Next week for you? Or this week?
This week.
Wow.
Friday.
Yeah, Jim got moved up. I still have 3 weeks.
You might get SMS. You have to keep checking your phone.
It's on your phone.
Is that?
Yeah, you signed me up and you used your phone number.
Ah.
Hey, Craig, what's up? Hey, gang. How is everyone in the safe zone? So, I don't really no safe zone right now, but our house is the safe zone.
Safe zone. No guests.
But yeah, I think we'll see with things releasing, with things relaxing. I think it will be interesting. Outside, yeah, I would agree. Outside dining is safer. And I think they're allowing 75% capacity for outside dining or for non-air
It is
conditioned
like
dining.
sit like in a garden or somewhere like not AC room. I feel better because yesterday I go out, I took non-AC bus. Like okay, I sit just in the front and like enjoy the wind.
No, yeah, for sure. Jib, have you had bacon jam? Actually, I'll check this out real quick.
Bacon jam.
So as of this morning, guys, Patty and Note have raised 468,000 baht
Ooh.
for, I think it's Food for Life Khao Samui. So they've, I mean, like I said, and we'll talk about that in the video. We'll throw out, there'll be links in the description for the Weeboon to donate and everything. But they're pushing 500K. So it's very likely that they could hit 500K before Saturday, which is exciting. That's a lot of money. It'll go a long way in Samui for sure. Patty's a slappy fighter.
Why slappy?
Sloppy or slappy?
Slap is like this.
I think he's
It's
a
like-
little of both. The Dago just hit 78% fully vaccinated, which is shocking
Ooh.
considering there's a large conservative base here. Yeah, large conservative base, but not. I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think San Diego's like a huge anti-vax. Like, I think it's different types of conservatives, Osito. Like, there are conservatives who are like policy conservatives, like fiscal conservatives, sort of like old school kind of conservatives, and then there are the more modern conservatives that are more like these like ultra right wing like Christian value types, that the ones that jump on these like anti-vax things and these like ridiculous ideas about masks and freedom and everything. So I think San Diego is more of like these sort of old school. Patty, not. I think I want to show that. No, I'm not going to show that one. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, Osito. You let me know. But that's what I think, is that San Diego probably has more of these sort of old school, like policy type conservatives. You know, it's the same with liberals. There's people who are like liberal policy liberals, like people who believe in like progressive policies and like liberal ideals, and then there's this sort of new wave of like social justice liberals that are like the same as like these far right conservatives. They're like these outer fringes, but very vocal about what they think, and it's unfortunate in a lot of ways. Well, what Craig said, I'll go back to. We are now required to show Vax record for 72 hours prior, negative test before entry to all restaurants and bars. And regardless, it's mandatory mask too. A 72-hour negative test. Oh, it's extensive, but I mean, hey, if you want to go out, I guess.
Or you get
Barrier
vaccine.
to entry. Both. I think both, he said. Oh, okay.
So like just get
Yeah, so if you've got
vaccine,
vaccine.
then you're free to go out.
Have you seen Krav Maga? Very intense styles. Can elaborate and recommend anything similar? I've seen Krav Maga. I'm honestly not super impressed with it. I think Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai are, in the hands of a practitioner, are much more effective fighting. Krav Maga seems to be more about like stress conditioning, and takes a lot of like sort of old school karate like approach to training, where like if you train like a fighter, whether it's MMA or Muay Thai, you're going to be conditioned for response. I think that's the important thing. And actually, I don't think, if you take any martial art seriously, I don't think it really matters. But like for me, the most effective striking would be Muay Thai. Most effective for grappling would be either catch wrestling or jiu-jitsu. Quarantining away from girlfriend 1 and girlfriend 2 as they live in large households with some anti-vaxxers. I don't think much will happen if I get COVID, but I don't want to risk it before a booster. And yeah, I wouldn't want to be risking it either. A booster in October. Okay, October got cut off. Yeah, I'll get my second shot. I'm not fully vaxxed. I've got 1 AstraZeneca. Jib's got 1 AZ, and Jam hasn't been able to be vaxxed at all yet. So when can Jam register?
November.
So she can't even register till November. So there's a lot of research to show that your heme type, your blood type, has a lot to do with the effects that you feel from COVID. So Jib and I are both type O blood, which is believed to be the least affected by COVID. It has the least amount of receptors for the COVID protein bonds. However, type A blood, which is what Jam is believed to have the most receptors for the protein bonds on COVID. So we're very, very concerned about that in general, that, you know, she could be affected and then it would be very bad for her, even though she's a teenager. Hey, Mazakian, what's going on? Someone had a GTA bus. Yeah, I saw that. So do you see this news about Bus 8?
About?
Someone held it hostage?
Oh, yeah. Or he just sit in a bus, no one inside. I think last week.
Yeah, he let the driver off, right?
I think the driver and the ticket keeper just escaped from somehow.
Yeah, and then the special police came in and like SWAT teamed them. Here's the Bus 8. You never know what you're gonna get with Bus 8. So Jim and I, we have a video up on an old video from like 4 or 5 years ago from a Bus 8 trip, and it wasn't so bad. I have definitely been on sketchier Thai buses. 72 comes to mind. Is that the one that skirts down the side of Central World?
77.
77. 77 is sketchy because they do the hot load where they don't actually stop. They just sort of like come to a roll, and then you have to get off and get on while it's moving. That's always tough. And then the ones that we used to take back when we lived in Pachani Wet, and they would roll up. And like that bus, it's like doing an F1 pit stop when they would pull into the Watsami Nari stop. He like cut all the way over from the right onto the side. And like you have to try to get off, but people are trying to fight their way on while you're trying to get off. Luckily, when you're my size, you can kind of just like push through everyone. But if you don't get to the door within the first 2 or 3 people, you have to really fight that sort of oncoming traffic getting in. Let's see, where was I? Here we go. San Diego conservatives are mostly well-educated Rockefeller. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, of course they would get the vaccine. You know, that's kind of what you want. Also, tiny black population in San Diego. They seem to be vaccinating in the 40% rate for whatever reason. Maybe distrust. Yeah, I mean, I have a friend from Texas who he's black. His whole family refuses to get the vaccine, and he said he just straight up doesn't trust the government. You know, but again, like our government does have a history of, you know, testing on the black population. The whole Tuskegee experiment there's an experiment where they injected syphilis into black population and didn't treat them, didn't tell them and didn't treat them to see what would happen.
When was that?
A long time ago, but it still happened. It's still a real thing. But I mean, he's the only one of my friends who I know who's like really taking that stance. Everyone else I know, like my friend Eric, went to the U.S. just to get the vaccine. So like
no matter who become president, they still like distrust the government.
Yeah, I mean, like
I think like with that they should move like to other country.
A lot of times people don't always have that option.
They have to make the way out. Like if they cannot trust anyone, like if they say, "Oh, I distrust government," no matter who become president.
Think about it, like if the Thai government experimented on Thai Chinese, right? Then Thai Chinese would feel a distrust.
You mean like a 90% of the country?
Well, before they were 90% of the country. I put my money on Pattaya.
Huh?
I don't know if you meant to say patty.
Pattaya are different from Patty. No?
Yeah, true. In Las Vegas, upcoming World Series of Poker and the Las Vegas Raiders NFL team will require all fans, participants to show proof of vaccine. Yeah. Tuskegee experiment has a lot to do with black hesitancy of taking a vaccine. Yeah, I agree, especially when something's mandated. Like, you know,
But it's like if they go to the vaccine center, same as white people and Asian people there, like they walk to the same center and like what they're gonna have like like another tray under the table, like, oh, you black, they get that one for you.
possible.
I
mean,
know.
No, I'm saying like from that mindset, like if you're coming from a mindset of like your people have been mistreated and experimented on in the past, anything is possible. And like, look, America doesn't have the best track record with minorities in general. Like, America does a lot of things great. Treating minorities well is not one of them, or having equal rights for minorities is not
So
one
I
of them.
think for them maybe looking for other opportunity.
Yeah.
Like just move to other country.
Patrick says it well here. He's like, the least effective way to get people to get vaccinated is to tell them they have to or demonize them. It just confirms their bias and suspicions. Yeah. I think, and I hate this. We always seem to devolve into politics, but like the new, like I was talking about, the newer Republicans that are really anti-policy on essentially anything, and then the far left, which are anti a lot of everything else that the far right is not. They feed a lot into this, and the media sort of grabs it. But the whole demonization of people, yeah, it's to mandate something and then demonize is difficult. And I can see, especially if there's already a level of mistrust, where that is not a good combination. Nothing compares to buses in Guatemala, legit livestock and chickens roaming around and crapping everywhere, goats. Chickens on the bus! My God.
Well, if you go to like a rural part of Thailand, you might see that too.
Well, I never saw that anywhere in rural Thailand that I've been, chicken on the bus. But I'll tell you what, I was in Myanmar one time. I was on a bus in Yangon. And I saw the public bus. I was with a local. And I was like, hey, let's take the bus. We're not going that far. And I was with my friend. I don't think you never met Sen, right? When she went to AIT. But she's from Yangon. And we were on the bus. And the bus had holes in the floor. Like rusted away on the floor. And it didn't have brakes because at one point we were going up a very slight incline. And every time we would have to stop, this kid who was maybe 12 would jump out the front of the bus with a chalk block, which is like a rubber triangle, and stick it under the front wheel so the bus couldn't roll back. And then every time we would move again, as it would start to roll away, he would jump out and grab the chalk block as the bus pulled away from it. That's probably the least comfortable bus I've ever been on as far as quality.
Maybe because of your weight that I need extra help.
Hey, top of the morning, cool kids. Hey, what's up, Chris? Never late, my friend. Never late. The Tuskegee experiments went until 1972, so it's not like it was long ago. Yeah.
Holy.
1972.
1972.
Yeah.
How can they pass like ethic committee to taste like that?
No, I don't think they passed that through. I hope they didn't pass that through an ethical committee on. So I don't know if a lot of you guys know, when you do research, like any type of research that involves human testing, even psychological.
Even
like
just questionnaire.
Yeah, even just questionnaire.
Because some question maybe hurt them or too like privacy.
You have to pass. You have to be
sensitive.
approved by a ethics committee, and I hope no ethics committee approved the Tuskegee experiment. However, I'm afraid it probably did get approval from an ethics committee. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's fine. Syphilis. Yeah.
Haha.
Held back by koala on your ankles. My great-great-grandmother was a Rockefeller in New York City. Not sure why I'm broke all the time. Oh, that Rockefeller money.
Oh, she's like in that family?
Yeah, is it just the name or or actually part of that family?
Oh.
True. I'm old enough to remember when the auto seatbelt law came out. People were steamed. Hey Dakota, what's up? So I don't remember. I remember there being I think I was a kid when the seatbelt laws became mandatory. But I remember I used to work with a guy, and he used to talk about like, oh, I'd never wear a seatbelt if I'm not in my work vehicle. It's so stupid. I was just like, well, hopefully someone hits you head on and you get taken out of the gene pool. Cody says, I'm not a minority, and I think America is evil and corrupt. They are just better at making it look like a well-functioning democracy. I mean, there's some... the American democracy is a unique structure, Cody, but I agree it's definitely corrupt, definitely evil, and definitely... Not in the best interest of everyone who lives there. And it's unfortunate. People were screaming, "Mark Carr, my choice." I remember, actually, before I left the U.S., I think Rhode Island, before I left Rhode Island, they had passed a law that it was illegal to smoke in your car if you had a child in the car. And there were actually people arguing about that law.
You know, someone not like deserve to be parents.
This is true.
And think about like if they just smoke in the car, smoke in the house, and the kid have to smell it
Breathe
and
it.
grow up to have lung cancer later. It's not fair for the kid.
I don't disagree with you. Patty Doyle, what's up? We were just talking about, I finished that video I was talking to you about, and I'm either going to drop it tonight or tomorrow. I got to look at a few things and see when it finishes rendering 4K. Top of the morning, do you know when the new zones get announced? The last time I saw the map updated was August 1st. Hoping to get back on the road. I don't think the zones are changing, Patty.
They're not changed.
Yeah, I think they just relaxed the restrictions, yeah. I don't believe... But I also don't think like you're going to have trouble traveling in dark red zones.
There's this asks you like to travel if you really need to.
Yeah.
Which is, who cares? People drive like to Khao Yai or somewhere to like relax, of course.
So, I mean, I don't think the zones are changing, but I think you could still travel without issue domestically. Especially since especially since you're on your bike.
And you wear a helmet.
Yeah. But I mean, you're not flying. I think flying is going to be challenging.
I don't know.
But I think train, bus, all that will be challenging. But I think traveling by scooter, you should be good. Mazakian, damn drop bears. That's how I caught the syphilis. The black experience can be hard to wrap one's mind around, Jib. I'm literally 4 generations removed from slavery. Also, moving is hard for some people who don't have economic means. Sorry, your comment got cut off. I want to make sure I get the whole economic mobility. Yeah, that's true. And the whole...
Can I just move to Canada?
No, Canada's not easy to move to for an American.
Oh,
It's
really?
easy to visit, but...
I'll just visit, not to move. And
it's still a challenge, yeah. But I mean, it's not necessarily that the black experience would be better in Canada, right? They're still like our closest neighbor, and culturally we're very similar. some would argue Canada's had while like the cities like Toronto are very multicultural, Canada has a very much more open policy to immigrants, but I mean, it's hard to say anyone has a more open policy. America takes a lot of immigrants, but Canada seems to be more welcoming. But I think, Patrick, right, the black experience is one, like, I can't fully articulate it. I haven't lived it. I just have a lot of friends who have, right? So I know from their perspective, not from my own, right? And, like, but I think the situation I grew up in, right, allowed me to see, like, as a poor white kid growing up in the Northeast, you could see that there was a very different way people responded to a poor white kid versus a poor black kid. Right? So, like, even, like, same exact socioeconomic status, or economic status, but the way the guy who owned the corner store treated me versus my black friend was completely different. Or the way the guy in the pizza shop treated me versus my black friend was completely different.
Even you are all American?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's little things, right? Like I would go into the store and no one would follow me, but my friend would be in the store and people would follow him around. Or I remember we'd go to the pizza place and the guy at the pizza shop would insist that my friend pay before he gets his food, whereas I could pay after, type of thing. So it's little things, but not so little, and they compound. And then there's, I don't want to get into the whole thing about prison politics, but America is something like 2% of the world's population, but 25% of its prison population. And black Americans make up, I think 16, I'm probably off on this number, but I think 16% of the total population of America is black. Right, but like something like 80% of the prison population is black.
And why they are in jail?
Mostly like really kind of minor crimes for the most part, like drug possession, things like that.
So like they just don't do drug, don't sell, don't use it, then no problem. Just get a job.
It's like saying it here, right? Like the same, like most people are in prison in Thailand for drugs. The difference is,
And we are Thai.
But in America, right, enforcement in neighborhoods is completely different, right? Like the neighborhood I grew up in, like, was in this process of shifting demographics from of being like a working class white neighborhood to sort of like a poor working class white neighborhood to like a poor to working class black and Hispanic neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Right? And so police enforcement was quite high. Police tend to patrol minority neighborhoods more than affluent white neighborhoods. So when I lived in Ohio, I lived in not incredibly wealthy, but I lived in a neighborhood that was upper middle class at the very least. And I never saw police. Except one time there was a black girl working for the Obama campaign going around on my block. I lived on a cul-de-sac, and it was like a dead end with like a turnaround on it. It's a really shitty way to design cities as well, but that's a discussion for another time. And one of my neighbors called the police because there was a black person in the neighborhood. And the cop showed up, and while I happened to be talking to the girl, and they started to like question, like, what are you doing here? And I basically told the cop to fuck off because I could. Like, he's not gonna do anything to me, right? But like, had she said that, he probably would have taken her to jail. So you know, sorry, I get a little. It's a complicated, nuanced issue. Patty says there are a bunch of orange zones up north. Maybe. I haven't looked at the zones. I live in Bangkok, Patty. Everything's dark red here. Deborah, that's how you got it. We share. Oh, I know it. Zone for long, zone bar girl, LOL. I think those are both in Pattaya, and I think those are regardless of COVID. Private transfer or private car. There are no checks from Hoi Hin to Jumtien.
Ah.
Oh, nice.
Maybe they check just like public transportation.
I have a friend who's been down to Rayong and no issues.
Huh.
And to Pattaya, no issues. Bangkok to Pattaya, no checks. Bangkok to Rayong, no checks. It's hard to pull yourself up by your bootstraps when you're barefoot. Absolutely. Elizabeth Rockefeller. Her father was Philip D. Rockefeller, and her grandfather was John D. Rockefeller. Effing rich one. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. We'll be back in a bit. All right, Cody. Cody, you still... Oh, he's probably not back. Let me know when you're back, Cody. How long before we can see Patty's new girlfriend? She speaks excellent English, which is perfect for him. Too lazy to learn real time, I guess, and she's very cute. Actually, I think if you watch his video where they went jet skiing to Koh Phangan,
เกาะพังงาน
then I think you see her for a second in that video, like when they're like holding the camera up, and she gets caught in frame. Dun dun dun. Poor people have historically been the ones that get locked up, not necessarily by race, but ethnically. Since the 60s and civil rights, it's been more black, but white and blacks use... Yeah, no, everyone uses drugs, right? I mean, like, I'm not saying it's drugs are a racial thing. Approximately the same percent. Yeah, so, for sure, right? And I think with a lot... I read a statistic not that long ago, stuck, about the percentage of people in state and federal prisons that are there on marijuana charges. With marijuana becoming legal in more and more states, I think eventually we'll see a click over with federal law, and the federal law will eventually pass legalizing it. Hopefully that will retroactively free a bunch of people, but I'm sure they will then find a new law to incarcerate more people with. Who knows? Who knows? I saw it in Bhutan. Tobacco is illegal, and you can go to jail for possession of tobacco. Not necessarily a bad thing to have more controls on substances that are a danger to public health, but you know, I don't know what their prison system's like in Bhutan. I imagine not fantastic. It's a very, very poor country. Yeah, Eric definitely is, Patrick. I mean, he's in Budapest right now. Actually, he called me the other day. We had a long conversation about what he's up to. And I've had this conversation with him a bunch. He's especially if you ever... I think he's still got the videos up. If you look at his videos about, I think, Warsaw, where he ended up like being around like a bunch of like nationalists, and like a Polish nationalist that ended up being very racist. And he talked about like how uncomfortable it was compared to the previous time he had been in Warsaw. He's an interesting dude, and actually Eric's from Cleveland. It's funny because he's from East Cleveland, which is incredibly poor, versus where I lived. I moved to Cleveland from the East Coast for work and lived, and I was making... Cleveland's a very cheap place to live, and I was making a 6-figure salary. And so my quality of life in the area I lived in was completely different than Eric's experience in Cleveland. But like, it's funny because you can easily see this divide in Cleveland. It's like a throwback to the past. It'd be like, living in like the Ayutthaya era. Like it really feels like you're in like a pre-civil rights or you're in like segregated America almost. It really does feel like that on some levels. And it's still a modern integrated city, but there's some very segregation type vibes about Cleveland. I was a poor white boy. They locked me up every chance they had, made my black friends happy. Only repeat offenders go to prison. These are people who can't take care of themselves on the outs. They like prison, hot showers, 3 meals a day. I'm not sure that. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I know people have gone to prison, not necessarily for the first crime they've committed, but for the first crime they were caught committing, Dakota. So, both white and black people have gone to prison for the first crime they were caught committing. You got to be a really bad criminal to go to prison for the very first crime you commit. But like I have friends who have been to prison for everything from, minor drug offenses to bank robbery. There's a guy I follow on TikTok named Conrad. His last name begins with an S, but he's a filmmaker now. But he did 21 years in prison for felony murder, even though he got charged with felony murder, I think in the Indiana state prison system, even though he didn't kill anyone. It was just, he was sentenced to 60 years. He got out at 21. He'd taken a plea, but really, really interesting dude. He makes a lot of films now about social issues. And he talks a lot about some of the issues that you face in prison, but he approaches it from a more positive aspect. He talks about some of the things the friends he made in prison, the opportunities he was able to have because he was in prison, how it changed his life. So interesting, really interesting guy. It's funny. I think I showed you one of his TikToks before, baby. He usually starts every couple weeks he'll put a TikTok up of a really attractive woman, in a bikini or a girl with a big butt, and for 2 or 3 seconds. And then he'll swipe it away and it'll be like, hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Conrad. Now that I've got your attention. It was kind of funny. The only people afraid of prison are the ones who have a life and can take care of themselves. I think everyone should be afraid of prison. Though, Dakota, I think there are people who have learned to live sort of from an institutionalized perspective. I know there's a guy who I grew up with, and not that we're definitely super friends, but we still keep in touch. He's been to prison a dozen times since we were in high school. And
just high school?
Yeah.
Already doesn't?
Yeah, that was 20 plus years ago. So we didn't go to high school together. We grew up in the same town, same city. And, he's been to jail mostly for drug stuff, mostly for possession of stupid possession violations. He'll go to jail for, 6 months, 30 days. The downside to that, though, is he's never been able to have a job and a career. He's never been able to have a career because he's stupid and he violates his own parole, or he'll carry weed on him and go out and stupid things. But people make their own decisions, right? In that regard. Joe says, that's my brother's plan for retirement, prison. And tell him to do it in Norway. They've got amazing prisons. Oh, hey, Joe, by the way, happy birthday, man.
Oh.
Joe's birthday.
Happy birthday, Joe.
For a couple more hours in the U.S. I did a year for cultivation in California in 2000. Not a favorite year of my life. Yeah, California prison system is something completely different, right, Dave? You went to state prison, I assume, in Cali. Or did they ship you to... I know California's prisons are so full, they ship people to other states to house them because it's cheaper. Yeah. There's a guy on YouTube, Wes something, and he was in the California prison system for 10 years. And he talks about being housed in Oklahoma, I think. And they put you on a bus and drive you out to Oklahoma and keep you in a prison there. It's a California state prison in Oklahoma because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a guy who went to the country club prison for white collar crimes relating to stock market. I don't. Do I know anyone? No, I don't know anyone who's gone for like white collar crimes. Jib actually, someone made a joke about the Bangkok Hilton, and Jib was like, "Oh, that sounds so nice." Who made that joke? And you're like, "Yeah, that sounds great." I was like, "No, babe, that they mean the prison in Bangkok." You're like, "Really?" Jib had no idea that was a term. John McAfee said U.S. had one of the worst places to go to. Yeah, he would know. And actually, he died, what, in a Spanish prison or a Portuguese prison? Interesting, dude. But yeah, American prison system's definitely rough. I don't know if it's one of the worst. Probably the worst in the developed world, for sure. I've watched that Warsaw video on what they call passing, so my experiences have been the same in some ways and different in others. Oh, okay, I know what you mean by passing. Yeah, so I actually talked to Eric in depth about the Warsaw thing, and you know, he was very, very uncomfortable there, like, and to the point where he told me that's one of his favorite cities. He doesn't know if he'll go back. It's funny because he's in Budapest right now. He loves Budapest, and I think if they didn't have such harsh winters, he would probably live there. But he was saying like now it's like it's much more mixed than it was last time he was there. It's a lot more integrated with people from other places. And even he was eating at a restaurant, like he said his waitress was from Iran. And you know, and he said like he ended up meeting a girl at one of the parks, like a beer garden. That was like half black, half white. You know, so he's like, it's much more integrated than just like a few years ago. You're just seeing more people. He likes jail. I don't know if anyone likes it. I think some people are just comfortable with it.
So in Thailand, there was like some kind of a social research.
Yeah.
They find out some like uncles, they would like to go back to the jail because they homeless, and like they say if they still in jail they have food.
So I've
with
been
with like a maybe minor crime, like steal something.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, put me to the jail, please. And like with that, free place to sleep, free food, and they not really like have like go to the block that with like older bad guy, that type.
I've been in a Thai prison. I've never been to Thai prison, or else I wouldn't still be in Thailand. They wouldn't let me stay here. But I have been in a Thai prison as part of a program, and spent a whole day there, and gone and seen the different blocks, and you know you get to see how like the criminals live. They basically just live. It is like the movies. They live in like, and this was one of the newer, considerably nicer prisons in Thailand, a couple hours outside Bangkok. And they basically just sleep on the floor in these big barrack type rooms. There's no beds, and you don't even have a sleeping mat. You just pick your own space, and everyone sleeps, like hundreds of people in this room, so they're like almost on top of each other. But what it seems to be, and what was explained to me, is that for the most part in this prison, everyone sort of self-regulates. So there's not a lot of violence. They don't get out of control because they're self-regulating inside the prison. And they keep all of the violent offenders completely separate in a different wing. And it was funny because when you're walking through the prison, like everything is access controlled. So they'll lock the door behind you before you can walk in. It would be very difficult to traverse different areas in the prison without access. But again, still not the greatest place, and I'm sure they weren't eating great food. You know, it's not like they're. At least it's food, though, like you said. Like if you're poor, and I think there are people who are very comfortable with institutionalization and find that okay. You never made a trip to the brig? Actually, I spent the night in jail in Cambodia like 20 years ago. Almost 20 years ago. That's a story for a different time, though. When I was in the Army, though, never got arrested. Actually, I got pulled over once for suspicion of drunk driving when I was in the Army, and I was the designated driver, so I hadn't been drinking at all. But it was like really late. I was tired, and I pulled up to a light, and I was on the wrong lane, and there was no traffic. So I was in the right lane. I needed to turn left, so I switched my directional from right to left, and the guy on the other side of the intersection flashed me to let me turn. So I turned, and it turned out to be an MP, military police, pulled me over, and was like, he's like, oh, you made a left turn from the right lane. I was like, yeah, but there's no one else around. You flashed your lights to let me go. He's like, have you been drinking? I'm like, no, but everyone else has. And my buddy was in the back seat, who was like the most drunk out of everyone. He's like, yeah, no one's drinking. What are you talking about? Like, starts to yell at the cop, like, oh. He's like, why don't you get out of the car? I'm like, okay. And we're hanging out just talking. He's like, well, I can tell you're not drunk. Have you drank at all tonight? I was like, no, I haven't drank anything. And he's like, all right. He's like, where are you guys staying? Like, I was like, we're off base because all the barracks are full for deployment, so we're staying at this hotel. And he's like, all right. He's like, you know how to get to the gate? I'm like, I think it's down here. It's like 2 lights and then bang a right. He's like, yeah. And so he followed me to the gate. I went off, but yeah, it was like the only time I had an issue with MPs, and it wasn't a big deal. Stock has been locked up in Peru and America. I'll take America. I imagine Peru would be sketchy. A lot of profit for prisons in California. It's a racket. Don't they have, Osito, maybe, I've only heard this. I don't know if this is true, but I've heard they have a pay-to-stay prison system in California. So for like misdemeanors, you can actually pay like, you can like stay only on the weekends. So you still go to work during the week, and then you go to prison like Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and you leave Monday morning and go to work. But you have to pay for that facility.
And why you want to stay?
No, so it's like if you've been convicted of a misdemeanor, and so you have to do like 60 days in jail or 90 days in jail.
Oh.
So you can still keep your job, go to work Monday to Friday, and then you have to go check into prison on Friday night and leave Monday morning.
Really?
Yeah, but you have to pay like the cost to stay there on those nights, type of thing. Was there any video of a moon pie in the care package? I don't think we got any moon pies, did we? No moon pies.
What moon pie?
It's like a chocolate cake with marshmallow and cookie. I don't think so. That's definitely been really old people who purposely commit crimes so they can get the medical in 3 squares, no rent. You get medical treatment in prison? I can't imagine it's too good.
Thai has a prison hospital.
Yeah. Yeah, but I can't imagine it's like amazing healthcare. In America,
It's not
at
going to
least.
be like Bamrung Rat standard.
Yeah, of
but
course.
I think it's still okay.
6x9 is like an apartment in Tokyo. Yeah, for sure. Like, that might be a big apartment in Tokyo.
Meter or feet?
Feet. Like 1.9 by 2.8. Yeah, Cali sucks. I think there's a place in Arizona that puts prisoners in tents.
Huh?
Yeah,
Tent?
yeah, I think that I've read about that. Texas as well, I think.
So you just like go under the tent and run away?
Yeah. No, you're fenced in. But instead of buildings, they have big tents.
Wait, they're not nice. It's
No
hot.
no air conditioning. Yeah, 'cause Arizona's a desert. Texas as well. It's those 3 marijuana strikes that will kill you. That's right. Cali used to have a 3 strikes law. Like 3 felonies, you go to prison for life. Even
Ooh.
nonviolent, yeah. We have a U.S. citizen fighting extradition back to the U.S. because he is so good in AU prison, had a yacht load of coke. Yeah, I would fight extradition as well. Does he get the coke back when he gets out of prison, Chris? Or that they probably sell the yacht, right? Super tasty brisket for Joe. Hey, John Poe, what's up? Poe on the go. John, I was talking about your the thumbnail you made for the first take video that Jib and I made. I was on it. It's called Work Release Program. You actually had to go back every day, but they let you out in the morning. Oh, okay. So, did you have to pay for your stay in prison, Dave? I've seen this before. My wife hates being embarrassed, so we surprised her at the airport. Welcome back from prison, Mom. Oh, if you ever travel somewhere, I'll meet you with that sign when you come back.
จ้า
I've heard they have a pay-for-stay wobbler cases, which are felonies in name only and usually get knocked down to misdemeanors, mostly first offenders. Yeah, I remember because it was the reason I heard about this. It was someone who had I forget what they'd done, but I think it was a misdemeanor, and they had to serve like 100 days, and they had like a year to do it, and they missed the date, and then the court extended their date to serve those days, but then like tripled their fine, type of thing. Hey, Hike, what's going on, man? How's things in Bama? Yeah, I had to pay in what they use called a H-shaped hospital. There were 4 beds to a room and a bathroom in between the rooms. There's a video on YouTube of a Norwegian prison where like people have their own apartment, and like they have like the guards talk about like their privacy. Like, oh, you got to give the prisoners their privacy. It was kind of weird, but I mean, they have a very low recidivism rate in Norway. So
maybe you should move there.
Well, when I have to retire and go to prison, maybe I'll do that. Let's see, now people from Norway are going to hear this. I'll never get a visa. So, yeah, I think Norway is an interesting country from a lot of perspectives, but the whole prison thing is interesting. They have like gardens and trees, and they want it to look natural and beautiful, even though you're locked inside.
Can I pay to stay there when I visit the country?
Maybe
it's cheaper than a hotel.
Oh, Jib is getting moon pies for sure. Joe's sending moon pies. Jib wants Mars bars with that. You might be the only person who likes Mars bars over Snickers.
Why? I like Mars.
Snickers are so good.
I like Mars.
How about Mars versus Three Musketeers, though?
Ooh, it's quite similar.
Yeah, but that Musketeers, that foamy shot like that.
Yeah,
moussey,
that's a part of different.
I've got great stories from the work release program would crack you up. Yeah, you got to share those on one of your streams. Patrick says Budapest is an awesome city, like visiting places like that, but Thailand is the spot, hands down. When I visit other places, I think might be fun. I just get bored and think about Thailand.
Ooh.
You know, that's the reason I live here, man. I mean, there are a lot of great places to visit, but to live somewhere, in my opinion, Thailand's the place. Like, you know, so many good things about it. So many good things about life in Thailand. And, I mean, just in Asia, like, Singapore is a bit too stressful for me as a place to live. Like, the lifestyle there is very different.
To have discipline.
Not just discipline, but it's a stressful place to live in. Like, their work culture.
Oh, yeah.
Like their, like, in general. Malaysia, I think we could live in KL, right? As a city, it's fantastic. It's green. It's very... KL has nicer, like, pedestrian infrastructure. They have bike lanes. They have nice sidewalks. That fits our lifestyle quite nicely. The lack of sidewalks in our neighborhood is a bit rough, and the missing drainage grates is a little sketchy for when I go biking. every now and then I'll come up on a place where there was a drainage grate yesterday and there is not today.
Yeah.
So and
You
they're
have to
big.
beware when it's flood and you cannot see it.
I could literally fall into one. That's how big they are, and they just go missing.
Oh, any place that has that big?
In America,
No, in Bangkok.
I could fall in. I'm not saying I'll go all the way in, but I could fall.
okay,
The ones on the road that are always missing on our street,
Yeah.
like those are sketchy.
It's just one leg.
just But I would say like KL is the place we could live. We've been to Manila. I could definitely not live in Manila. How about you? Like
Maybe just that block of the city.
like even Makati is like Manila is. I love the people in Manila. Welcome back, welcome back from prison, Jim. Manila is a great city, but like I just couldn't see myself living there. Jakarta, the same thing. Like there's things I like about Jakarta, but I couldn't live
traffic.
there. Yeah, it's bad.
And people smoke a lot.
Everywhere. People smoke
I don't like-
everywhere in Jakarta.
I don't like-
Even in the mall.
In AC room, the smoke.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I went into the mall because so many people were smoking outside and people were smoking in the mall in Jakarta. Like even like my hotel, everywhere like there were people, like every floor smelled like cigarettes in my
So
hotel.
like here, it's like it might be like if you go to the bar
Yeah.
or pub,
Which we don't.
yeah, like that they will smoke a lot sometime inside. Which is we don't go to place like that. So normally like we okay in Bangkok, like we fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I think like some local places you'll see people smoking inside. Like when I lived in Pathum Thani, there was
I don't know.
there was like people would smoke in the Samtam shop.
In is it AC room?
No. But it's like in the shop house first floor, like it was half outside, half inside type of place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very, very not comfortable. Oh, here we go. I don't even, Maricopa County, tent jail, no aircon in Phoenix. Damn, no aircon in Phoenix. Oh. And they have heat in the winter? Probably no, right? Phoenix still gets cold in the winter. Michigan had a 365 law, 265 grams of coke or other class 1 and life sentence. Tim Allen was actually sentenced to it and got an appeal. 265 grams of coke and it was a life sentence. Damn, that's crazy. That's it. Insane to give someone a life sentence for possession of a drug.
But in gram, it's a lot.
It's a lot, but I mean, to go to jail for the rest of your life.
You should know better not to have it.
But the idea of prison is supposed to be to rehabilitate people, not to just warehouse them.
Ah.
Right? So to think that you would go to prison for murder, like I get it, but for possession of a drug at any amount, life seems like a long time.
What if you cannot change your behavior?
Then you go back. Like the Norwegian prison sounds nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, life in Bangkok's great, man. You can't complain. Little restricted with the lockdown, but overall good. Best candy bars. Okay, here we go. Twix, Kit Kat, Big. I don't know what a big hunk is. I don't know what an Abba Zaba is. Mars and Wish. Oh, Wish I could still eat them regularly like a kid, right? When I was a kid, like a couple a day. So I would say I would agree with Twix. Twix and Kit Kat would be my top two. I'd probably throw Three Musketeers and Baby Ruth in there. Oh yeah, whatchamacallit too. I see Hike the whatchamacallit's a good bar as well. Jim liked the whatchamacallit. But nothing like the Three Musketeers was I knew Jim would like it. I didn't know she was gonna freak out about it.
I don't know, but it's just like something in it. I feel like, oh, so good.
If you haven't seen the Three Musketeers short, Jim was like, oh my god. She really, she had never had it. I was like, it's a good one. And she's like, but I actually like the whatchamacallit. Hike's right. That's a great candy bar, the whatchamacallit. But I think Twix is great because like that cookie and like the thick caramel, so nice. So nice. And then Kit Kat because of all the wafers. The big cat is trash, though. You have to have the actual Kit Kat. The big cat, the ratio is off. Soy Mafia, whilst on a cruise ship, did you meal in the restaurants or just had the buffet meal? When I was on the cruise from Malaysia to Thailand, I ate in the buffet a few times, and then we had sit-down meals a few times as well. Yeah. And then we were off boat. I was off boat like one day. And then the day that we had the fights on the boat, like the MMA fights, they brought food in for us. Because for lunch. So like they brought something in from shore, which was nice because we got like real Thai food. Hey, Apava. Sawadee crap. Somebody my crap. Here, Patrick. Singapore feels too much like Western life from the short time I spent there. I like the grittiness of Thailand. I worry about safety in Philippines. Never felt unsafe in Thailand. Yeah, I almost 100% agree with you. I've said to people, Patrick, that I think Singapore feels like a much more modern version of New York. Like if New York was built yesterday, and it is very sanitized, and it is very, to me, like I've done job interviews in Singapore and talked to like CEOs. I've been to a bunch of conferences there. The work culture in Singapore is very stressful. People work like it's like the Japanese salaryman type of work culture, where like they just work, and then people drink like excessively to deal with the stress they have from work. And that's not a life I'm about. I agree. I like the grittiness of Bangkok in general, where Bangkok's a very modern city, but it's like it's got that old world like Asia charm, right? Like the street food, like I like to know like I could potentially be, assaulted by two ladyboy escorts walking down the wrong soy. It happens. It happens. But the reality of the situation is Bangkok's incredibly safe. There was a girl who was I think she was an NPR reporter, or she was recording something for NPR. Remember she rented the studio? Was her name Angela? Or something like that.
Not sure.
But she rented my studio to record part for a documentary, voiceover for a documentary. And she's Venezuelan, and she grew up in Caracas, and then she lived in Mexico City. And I remember I walked her. She came with her son, and like he waited while she recorded her video, her voiceover. And then I walked her back out to the Songtel on the main soy because she was going back up to the BTS. And I asked her, like, we were talking like how long she'd been in Bangkok and stuff. I was like, what do you think about Bangkok compared to like, South America? Like you grew up in Caracas and lived in Mexico, you said. And she was like, like living in Bangkok's the first time she ever felt safe to just like go out by herself, to walk around, to let her son go out by himself, versus like living in like Caracas or Mexico City. She said that those feelings don't exist. Like you wouldn't let someone go out. John Poe says, on the fence, love Japan as well. Korea is just too intense for me. Taiwan was cool. Want to check out Vietnam and Cambodia. Cambodia is sketchy AF, I will say. I'll talk to you about Cambodia when you're here. I've talked about it a lot, but when you're here, we'll chat about Cambodia. I'll tell you what I think. I have a friend my buddy Raw Dog Eddie lives in Vietnam. He enjoys it. Jib's been to Korea. I've never stayed in Korea. What'd you think of Korea, babe?
It's nice. Like a beautiful city. Clean for the part of tourist see.
Yeah.
But like when I went the second time with my friend, okay, we see the pile of like a drinking cup that like drop in the night, not in the trash, but like outside the building or on like the footpath. So I believe that might be someone take care of it, like early morning, so you don't see it. And the rest of that is like, I would say city looks very nice. The market, okay. From what I see, just like short days there. But like, oh, if you walk slow, it's not a city for you because people would just push you, tag you. It was like, what? Why this auntie like hit me on my shoulder? He just walk past me and don't care, and they won't even look at you and say sorry. They just walk past. You get hit because you walk too slow. That's what I learned from there. But here in Bangkok, if like they hit you back, they say, oh, sorry. You know, that's what happened.
Yeah, it's definitely one place I want to visit eventually. It's just to, for a lot of different reasons. Patrick says, I think Taiwan gives Thailand a run for its money. Street food is next level. Taiwan is one of the places Jib and I have talked about visiting for a long time. And actually, last year was supposed to be 2 places on the list, Japan and Taiwan. And obviously neither happened for obvious reasons. But hopefully 2025 is looking like a good travel year for us. Maybe 2026.
I don't know.
But we'll see. Actually, I think next year is going to be off the books for us to travel as well because Jib is going to go to drawing school at the Royal Academy.
Oh, yes.
And hopefully Jam as well. I hope Jam will. I've been trying hard for years and years to convince Jib that, university is not 100% necessary. Like the Jam doesn't have to take like the same educational path that Jib and I did. And I would argue Jib and I are both way overeducated. And I think this situation has finally brought Jib around to seeing the light.
What light?
That university isn't necessarily 100% required right now.
No, still.
Jam can take a different path though. She can take a year,
but she still at the end she must get anyone bachelor, just one.
So I had said before, like years ago, like we could send Jam to like another country to. I have friends who have companies all over Asia, so I was like, we can send Jam for a year somewhere. And Jib was like, no, you can't take a year off. Now Jib's like, yeah, taking a year is probably a good idea. For a lot of reasons, because schools may not reopen next year altogether.
Maybe open but online.
Yeah, or like mixed. And
I don't know.
Not the best experience.
I think it will be more fun if you have like spend time with new friends, know each other. But like to learn it online, how can you know your friends?
Yeah,
like by Zoom call?
Especially at 18.
Yeah.
Right? Like
should have time to hang out.
In your 30s is one thing, 18 is another. You should have the space and the opportunity.
I would like her to
to
have
be
like
around people.
experience same as mine, like a
same as yours?
many sport, like I'm still gonna do the same sport like I did, but like at least she will see something. Oh, this sport interesting. She would like to try, or this I don't know, whatever language club or
hang
something
hang out and eat junk food with friends at the science square.
It's like that's the life that I want her to have, not just like Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom call. Online platform. As someone who I teach at Chula occasionally, and I've been an adjunct there for my second year as an adjunct at Chula, this year will be this year was my second year. Okay, so this is my second year as an adjunct at Chula, and the online system is good, but it's not the same experience. For like an older student, they don't really have older undergrad students in Thailand at the main at the top universities, but like online's okay for someone who's working, like in like say 30, right, to do this. But to me, at her age, if she's gonna go to school, then she should do it like at school, and that's why we think the drawing school at the Royal Academy is probably a better fit, just because she'll be able to and she'll meet a wider range of people.
I will tell that she is my sister.
Then they'll ask older or younger.
That's not nice.
Because you have to dye your hair to go to school, right?
Sometime, when they have to take a picture or something.
Yeah, so they don't actually dye it, right? You use like a shampoo.
Oh, shampoo.
So Jib does have some gray hair.
A lot.
But I like it. I think it looks nice. But the school requires everyone to have like a dark hair for their photo. And since Jib was like the second youngest in her class, you can imagine everyone must have been like,
so we need lots of shampoo.
Yeah, it's like the shampoo that turns their gray hairs black. Craig, there's an island 70 miles off Key West, Dry Torgus, that used to be a prison. Now it's a... Oh, you know what, Craig? I've actually read about this. I wanted to go... I think you can camp there overnight if you get a permit. Yeah, it's like it still has like the wall, the prison wall, right? And then it was a fort for a while. Is that the same one? And you're allowed to camp on the island? Oh, man, yeah. I remember reading... I think I read about that place. Billanak Moxin Nazi, and when was your last curry rice meal? Big bro. I don't know. Billanak Moskin Nazi. Is that Indonesian food? Sounds like it. I had what do they call it in that sauce that they put on stuff in Indonesia? It's like one of my favorite things. It's like a peanutty and like spicy, so good. And then I had like a noodle dish similar to nasi goreng in Indonesia. I don't know if it's also called nasi goreng in Indonesia, but so good. When was the last? I had curry last week. Masaman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have like Thai curry.
Yeah, masaman was probably my favorite. I'm kind of like craving green curry though.
You can order from the...
So vegan. Yeah. They put the fake fish balls in it though.
Oh,
which I
be
don't
good.
like. Yeah. No, the vegan fish balls.
Well,
So it tastes like rubber.
no.
When you bite it, it's like Three Musketeers, 60 years worth. Yeah. Yeah, Osito, I need confirmation on this big hunk candy bar. Twix left or right side. Yeah. That's a great marketing campaign, left and right Twix. 33 Musketeers in my... Oh, that's right, Deborah. That's like one of the things you eat, right? Like, because you have like a really sensitive stomach.
Oh.
So Three Musketeers is one of the things that go.
Yo.
Dan, what's up, my man? Cable cutters. Nothing can hang with Twix. Yeah, I mean, look, the cookie, the caramel, the chocolate, 3 simple yet perfect ingredients, elevated to perfection. Chunky bar. Not sure about that one. With the raisin, not bad, but I mean, not chunky. I wouldn't put up in my favorite. Used to love the marathon bars, not available here anymore. Now called Curly Whirly in the UK. I don't think I ever had a marathon.
Like, you eat it when you ran marathon?
Right?
I don't know.
That'd be kind of funny, like advertising candy bars. Marathon runners need a lot of calories, though.
Right.
When I was running running a lot, and I ran the Bangkok half, I didn't eat enough carbs on my run, and that's why I crashed on like the last third. Like I just couldn't. I felt like I was running through concrete, and I only brought 2 carb drinks with me, and it wasn't enough calories or enough carbs to keep fueling me.
You big.
Yeah, I was only 107 kg then. Still big. I survived 14 hours nonstop solo road trip on Mars bars and Joke Cola. Joke Cola, man, oh, such classic.
What's that?
They still make Joke Cola. It was like a soda, like Coke, but it was supposed to have more caffeine. Yes, hit the like button, caress the like button, nibble on the like buttons there. Caress it. Whisper sweet nothings to it. Hello. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? Did I ever see Joe Cola? It was made with guarana extract. What's guarana extract? If you're mentioning it, it must be good stuff. Craig knows his stuff. Can try Colombia, just have to be careful with the hippos. That's right. Didn't Pablo had all the hippos brought in? Catholic countries are always more dangerous, even in Asia. Just commit crimes and go to confession on Saturday. And that's like the Philippines, man. Remember they had like a thing for a while where if you thought someone had drugs, you could just kill them, and they were finding like dead bodies on the street every day. I was Manila. I don't know, did we see anyone with guns when we were in Manila?
The guard.
Yeah, the guard, but like no random people, right?
No, maybe the block that we stay is good.
When I was there with Emily, we saw like just random people with guns in the street.
It's like same as Texas.
Maybe, I don't know about a little bit different, but we did see a guy with a cowboy hat and a 6-shooter. Actually, Emily was my producer for my show. Our friend AJ, she's married to my friend AJ as well. But Emily and I used to travel together to do my show all the time. I remember those Cambodian stories you told that. Yeah, Cambodia is an interesting place. Damn cold in Korea and winter for me. Yeah, I'm definitely not looking to live anywhere with winter at the moment.
Oh, I went there almost the end of the winter. It's still super cold for me.
Yeah, Jim brought a scarf. I remember you had a hoodie, right? A scarf and a hoodie, was that it?
No, it's a beanie.
No, didn't you have a hoodie, like the zip-up hoodie?
No, that year, no.
Oh. But I remember I made the scarf for you, the polka dot scarf.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not the winter yet.
Yeah.
So it says it's gonna be cold, but when I bring everything with me, it's not cold.
Yeah, I'd like to check it. Yeah, I definitely want to do Taiwan. I mean, Taipei seems amazing. My friend, I have a friend who lives out there. Is a CEO of LO Skateboards, and he said like it's a really cool city, but he's like maybe not the most expat friendly. Hey, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Rich, what's up, man? Rich Mac out in Alaska. Oh, so you're still in town? Pop that up, my man. Did Jib try the fast, high-speed train in Korea after landing in Incheon?
Incheon Airport.
Did you? No, you didn't try.
No, because like I stay in Seoul, so then
Oh,
like I took a train, just commute train from airport to other station, and then walk to hotel.
older Korean women are aggressive. Maybe aggressive how? 2023 or bust. I mean, the reason North Vietnam is off my retirement list, although I love it. Does it get that cold in northern Vietnam? They get like winter? Or just gets like a little chilly like Chiang Mai?
Oh, colder.
Colder than Chiang Mai. But not like snow, right?
Not sure, but cold, like you have to wear like coat.
Oh, wow.
It's like Thai like to go there
Oh.
recently, like in the winter, because then they don't have to fly to like somewhere further to get that cold. So they just go to Vietnam.
I'll tell you, like, I don't mind. I used to love the cold when I lived in the U.S. Not so much now. Like, Thailand has ruined me. Like, I still am not completely used to the heat because I still sweat like crazy. But I can't be in the cold either. It's painful to me now. Hey, have a good night, Dan. Thanks for swinging by, brother. As close to the equator for me year round. Yeah, right? I don't know if I want to be right on the equator. Right? That'd be like Singapore's pretty close to the equator. Yeah, that Thailand's the right distance for me. I have way too many degrees and took a lot of useless classes. I wish I would have been building and failing instead of studying for tests. Yeah, no, same here, man. I have same thing, way too many degrees. And then, you know, I spent years and years pursuing certifications as an engineer. So I used to have, a lot of them have lapsed now. Some of them are still good forever, but, you know, like I had a dozen, you know, certifications as an engineer as well, on top of, you know, multiple degrees. Jib has undergrad and graduate degree as well, and now soon to have her first certificate from the Royal Academy. So, yeah, I mean, look, I like to learn, but yeah, I agree that you learn a lot more by building and failing. or building and succeeding, hopefully. But the reality is with business, failing is more common. My first company failed spectacularly. But that was like probably my greatest learning experience was when we started my first company because I knew nothing at all, Pat. And, when it bombed out, it bombed hard, but it was a great experience for me. And then I went to work for Cosmo. And I dropped out of college to start my first company. I learned way, 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 way more when I left college than I did from the first 2 years I was in college. China's another world I'd like to visit once. Just going to be a while before I would consider it. I've been 3 times or 2 times to China. I've been to. I'll tell you, I thought Kunming was Kunming or Kuching.
Kuching.
Which one? One of them's in Sarawak and one of them's in China.
Oh no. Kunming is in China for sure.
Okay. Kunming, I was up there to ref fights, but that was a really cool city up in the mountains and kind of like very cold and everything. They had a lot of EVs, and Guangzhou is like a really modern kind of city as well. Really interesting. But China. A lot of people love China. A lot of people love living there as expats. I don't know if I would be able to call it home, but it's an interesting place to visit. Like Mama Bear, Jib doesn't want to let the cub leave the cave. Yeah, sounds like you don't want to let Jam leave.
Yeah.
She's a little protective.
She's not like. She doesn't like adventure,
That's why I think we need to force her to adventure. So I had set her up with a job 2 years ago at my friend's company as an intern. And I thought they were a little too easy on her. So she was supposed to go work for my other friend last year. And then the situation happened. And she couldn't. And so hopefully maybe next year as an intern. And no choice, have to do it. But I wanted to send her to Malaysia to be an intern in Malaysia with one of my other friends. And Jib was like, I don't want her to travel overseas. Or not overseas, but internationally.
Yeah, by herself and not under any program.
Program enough. That's how you learn. Yeah, China can be amazing. I prefer natural, like northern Sichuan, Hunan province. I want to go to the Sichuan province for sure. I would love to visit some of those like kind of ghost cities in China where they built huge cities and no one lives there. Like the largest mall in the world is in China and it has like 1% occupancy in the stores. I have to eat 3,000 calories a day to stay fat. Yeah, me too. Luckily, I normally beat it. You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Everything woke turns to shit. President, your thoughts. And I've talked about that before and it got the channel all riled up. I'll skip my thoughts on previous presidents or current presidents. As little politics as possible. Hey, have a good night, Deborah. Thanks for swinging by.
Good night.
Hey, Rich Mac, man, thank you again. Hey, by the way, dude, how's things out in Alaska? Morning coffee. Jib's refusing to drink her coffee now. She has it over here. Fresh cup that I made. 3 days camping, pack it in, pack it out. You can bring a kayak as well. 3 hours. Oh, nice, nice. Come to Alaska, yeah, right, dude? How cold is it right now in Alaska? It's got to be freezing.
I have to knit a lot and wear lots of layers.
It's not even winter yet, and it's middle of fall, right? It's gonna be super cold, I bet. Jib, you want to try Jolt Cola? They still make it, Joe?
Maybe not because if I cannot get it here, if I like it, it would be bad. Like, oh, cannot have it again.
Yeah, it's good though. All candy bars are jumping on the dark chocolate. You know, I love dark chocolate. The problem is most commercial dark chocolate, like for candy bars or mass-produced ones, will say like it will have milk in it to make it more palatable for the masses. So, which I get, right? Like, not everyone's gonna love the super bitterness of like 99% cacao, but it is good. A friend of mine just got a master's certificate. He had to pass the exams for a master's degree without taking the classes. Said it was brutal, but saved years of college. Yeah, I have my master's is in ICT. Yours is in nutrition or diet?
Huh?
What's your master's in?
What year?
Your master's degree. What's the degree in? Nutrition?
Degree in MSc.
Of Masters of Nutrition, Master of
Nutrition and Dietetics.
So yeah, Jib studied a lot of science when she was in grad school. Mine was ICT, so it was more practical stuff like building networks, building projects. But yeah, definitely not super necessary. But and then when I was working on my PhD, I was doing a lot of I was doing a lot of work on protocols, designing protocols for networks. Super, super niche stuff that no one cares about except for the one person, which was me, that was studying it. So it was, again, it was a fun, interesting thing to do, but not necessary in the big picture. Depends on what you want to do in life, I guess, but it's complicated. 06 was the last time you were in China? Stuck? Yeah, it was 2015 was my last time there, man. No, 2017 when I spoke at the I was a speaker at the Guangzhou International Innovation Festival. 2017 or 2018. It was right before we started production on my show with EFM. Because I remember I was in China, and the director, I had the VPN on my phone, the director of the network, UN, sent me a message to ask me to come to Malaysia early for the grand opening of the network. So like I had to literally fly from China to KL and then back to Bangkok. I only had like enough clothes for the trip to China with me. So luckily they always put me in this apartment in Malaysia. So, oh no, that's the time they didn't put me in the apartment. They put me in the container. They call it Dash House. The containers right next to the station.
I don't know.
We looked at it one time. It was like shipping containers.
I don't know.
It was literally right next to Magic.
Okay.
And they put me in one of those. And it ended up, I think they bought me a different shirt to wear. Yeah, it was funny. Captain, wait. The cereal Captain Crunch made a candy bar? How did I not know about this? Have you ever had Captain Crunch?
I don't know what's that.
It's a cereal.
Huh.
It's like basically just crunchy sugar.
I know Cocoa Crunch.
No, different. This is just wheat infused with sugar and crunchy. It's very good. It definitely tears up the inside of your mouth, though. After you eat that, you feel like you just ate some sandpaper or something. Like your mouth's all raw. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I had no idea about this candy bar. Oh, John said, I think that's what you showed me at the neck.
No, that one is Joe. He sent this.
I gotta show you the one he sent me yesterday. We're working on when he was working on the thumbnail. This is for Jib only. Unless she approves it. If she approves it, then it can go out to the masses. See your face. John says, "Was invited to go to China to study Chinese alligators years ago. Wish I had gone, but kids were young and would have been for 3 to 6 months." That's a long time be away from young kids. I think traveling is so important at a young age. I had no perspective before I traveled. Yeah, same with me. Like my family drove to Florida once when I was a kid, and that was basically the furthest we had ever been. And drove like down and back, and like I think a couple of my aunts came on the trip too. So, by the time like 7 people in a minivan driving all down the East Coast, not the greatest time. And by the time we got there and back, I think we only spent like 3 days in Florida, and then drove back. And which I'm sure, like, if there weren't, I was like the oldest kid. There was like 2 kids younger than me, and then a bunch of adults. Not the greatest time. But when I got older and could travel on my own, then like you really do start to get perspective on things. Like you see things differently, experience them differently. It changes the way you view everything. Yesterday was 41. The temp is dropping and staying wet. By mid-October, it should be freezing. 41 degrees Fahrenheit is going to be like just a few degrees Celsius. Single digits for sure.
14 for me is like, I cannot walk.
I'll pass on dark chocolate. Just give me the chemical compound we call milk chocolate. I think milk chocolate is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking it at all. Like if I could still eat dairy products, I would love milk chocolate to death. Like, it's phenomenal. I have nothing wrong with it, but I really personally enjoy the bitterness of dark chocolate, 100%. But the milk chocolate, as far as like just overall like easiness of eating it and enjoying it, yeah, for sure, all day. Joe says, sent Jib a pic of a Marathon bar. Oh, looks like they don't make Jolt anymore. Maybe, but are trying to bring it back. Oh, Captain Crunch is horrible. It's both horrible and good. Right? It does, like, I always thought it chewed up the inside of the
organism?
I don't know what that is.
Marathon bar.
It looks like holes. There are holes in the bar? Maybe it's a low-calorie candy bar. It's got holes in it. Diet control. Captain Crunch is basically candy already. This is true. Not basically, it is candy. All cereal line up from Frosted Flakes and Lucky Charms. Lucky Charms I loved. I love Lucky Charms. Never a big Frosted Flakes fan. I loved Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops are one of my favorites. Hey, Mike, what's going on? Now turned 70. Seems like only a few blinks ago that Bangkok was in my realm. Oh, 70 years old, man. Congrats.
Ooh.
Yeah. Man. And Mike's got the good stories with the serpent. Huh? He met the guy from the serpent, the serial killer.
Yeah,
I think in like a fishing town in Malaysia. Almost ended up on the list. Agreed, traveling the world in the army when you changed my life made me. Yeah, I tell you, being in the army changed my life in a lot of different ways. Like, just like the understanding, like I didn't have limits that I thought I did physically. Like, and then also like, mentally, like you really develop like a certain toughness and a grit being in the army. I think any military branch in general, but for me, it was the army. It's built to test you and to teach you that you can push beyond whatever you thought you could. Guarana is from Amazon. It's wicked caffeine, works on the CNS, heart and central nervous system, heart and muscles. They used to sell like 10 large guarana tablets in a bag for $6 at the liquor store back in the day. Oh, that sounds interesting. Marathon is braided caramel covered in chocolate. Oh, okay, so it's like strands of caramel, like French braided. That's what the holes are.
One rồi.
Is Jolt like Surge in terms of knocking a few years off your life? I'm sure it is. Patrick. Definitely not the healthiest thing. Oh, here's the town he was in. Talok Bahan. Glad I was broke. Yeah, no cash room to rip you off for, right?
Ay.
True discipline from the army definitely changed me for life. Yeah, I mean, it
Do
definitely.
you fold your blanket, John?
So I don't know. If, I'm still like the guy who likes to find hacks to things. When I was in the army, I remember I was in basic. I told Jib this. I had, and a lot of people did this, but short sheet your bed, and so I would just sleep on top of the wool blanket they give you in basic, and then in the morning just tighten it up so it looked good still. While everyone else was making their bed, it would give you like 2 or 3 extra minutes, which is a big deal, in those basic training days. But yeah, you don't fold your blanket in the army. You actually have to make your bed every day. Even when you're living in the barracks, like active duty, make your bed every day. There's no messiness allowed. Yeah. I remember getting caught with extra hot sauce in my Foot Locker during basic. That didn't go so well for me. Jib wants to join the Thai army still. The Royal Guard, right?
Oh, well, maybe they don't take this age.
There's if you work for the palace, you have to go through like this Royal Guard training. Includes like a survival training and airborne. And it's like what, 6 months, man? It's like a basic training plus survival training plus airborne and plus like a few other things.
Yes.
Just to work in the palace. Sent both my kids to Asia for 3-year gap for their gap year, 3 months each to show them how the real world works. Both came back with new mindsets. Oh, nice, Chris. They both go to the Philippines, or you send them somewhere else? So I think your ex was, or your wife was Filipino, right? They would come in randomly and flip bunks to stop guys from sleeping in the blankets. Yeah, they do that to me too. They flip your bunk. Like, they'd go in while you're out at training, flip all the bunks, you come back, just make it again. No big deal.
So, like, after you, like, end with the army, did you fold your blanket, John?
Jim gets upset because I'm not a big bed maker. Airborne was intense, but so worth it. Jib, get your airborne wings.
I get one, but it's just like for Girl Scout.
Yeah, no, like airborne is like when you get qualified
Yeah, I
to jump.
know. But I just give it to you, like when you jump from the tower as a
Oh,
Girl Scout.
yeah.
Yeah, I just got that one.
I think Jib would be the type, like when she jumps, because she's so light, she'll just get floated back up into the thermals. I saw that happen a few times. People like jump and they're too light for the conditions and get floated back up into the thermals. Philippines, Malaysia, Japan, Singapore, and Korea. Nice. Nice diversity of culture and mindsets there for sure. All the way from like the hardcore Japan and Singapore, Malaysia and Korea in the middle, and Philippines on the other end. Army has made everything easier. If you survive in the military life, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's funny because like looking back on it, like there are definitely things that I still disliked about the experience, but overall, it was a 90% positive experience for me being in the military. Like I have nothing to really complain about, and it changed my life and changed my perspective. And I was 22 when I enlisted. So a little bit older. I was like the second oldest person in my basic training, which is weird to think at 22 that you're like one of the older people. And the oldest guy was like 36. He was re-enlisting. He had been in before and he was coming back in. But, it was just such a great experience. So really invigorating in a lot of ways. But, just like the things it teaches you, the big thing is it teaches you can take more shit than you thought you could, like you can stack it higher and deeper and keep going. Thais are still using the T-10 Bravo chutes. 18 to 22 feet per second descent. Yeah, Jib's light enough where she would float up. If I jumped with that, I'd probably be at like a 30 foot per second descent. Hey, John, have a good one. I think we're going to wrap it up as well, guys. We're hitting 2 hours. Start our day off now. So I want to thank all you guys for rocking with us. It's been a great day. Thank you. And until next time, keep taking action. Make your ideas reality.